Going on, Rotogrinders? Dean here. That's Dean 7804. That is the DFS handle around the industry. It's 5:30 on a Friday on the East Coast, 2:30 West Coast, 4:30 Tennessee time. So, of course, it's time of the flagship show here at Rotogrinders called Grinderslive. Joining me today, the GPP Slayer, the GPP Savant, $1 million winner. Andre, what's going on, dude? How are things in your world? We have a massive Friday slate. Only 14 games. They're giving the Yankees in Chicago the day off because they had the day yesterday in Field of Dreams. A little travel, I suppose, for a Saturday, Sunday set against somebody. I have no idea, but 14 gamer tonight. It's an awesome one. I think this is a really good slate, actually. I like it. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I kind of like this slate too. I definitely like this. Like the pitching options are so spread out. Some guys I thought from when I was looking at last night and on the morning grind with Grant, we're be higher on, but they're not. So it's going to be a definitely interesting GPP slate. I look forward to hopefully taking something down. It's been about 3 weeks since I had a win, so it's my longest drought. So let's try to break it tonight.
The world's smallest violin is playing for you. You've not won a tournament in 3 weeks. Well, hey, I guess you're due now. Did you say on Twitter today this is the day you're due? It's happening. You speak it into existence.
I spoke into it. I did a couple of days ago. It didn't happen, but if not, then I feel like next weekend when I go to that live final, it's going to happen then.
Oh, is that the one in Denver?
Yep, in Denver.
Cool. How many tickets do you have for that?
I got 3.
Very nice. Awesome. I was thinking about flying out there, but unfortunately it's not going to happen. I flying out there and not participating, but just hanging out. I don't actually have a ticket. I did not win my way in there, but that should be good times for sure. So I feel like this Boston is the team. Like everybody's going to want to play. We don't have a lineup just yet, but for Boston, for what it's worth, they play in an hour and a half, but they have a team total pushing 7, which is like, you just don't see that. Spencer Watkins on the mound there for Baltimore. He's not very good. He's not a part of their future. Their bullpen's not very good. We were talking about this pre-show. Marwin Gonzalez got DFA'd, so he's not going to be in the lineup. Verdugo probably comes back tonight from was he on the COVID list or is he on the baby list? One of the lists. He's expected back tonight. Not really sure why we don't have a lineup just yet, but there you go. Kyle Schwerber is currently wait. Did I miss this? I thought, was Kyle Schwerber traded to Boston? Or is something wrong with our lineup? This is so weird. I feel like I should know this.
Yeah, why has he been playing? Was it COVID or something?
I thought Kyle Schwerber was hurt, but I don't remember him being on Boston. Has he played a game yet for Boston?
No, he hasn't. I don't think he has.
Okay. I just missed that trade, apparently. Okay, so he might be back because I saw he might be back, and that's probably what's going on there as well, too. Interesting. Looking forward to seeing what that Boston lineup is. But in my head, I was thinking it's like one of those old school Coors slates. Like, remember when the Rockies were good and like everybody would just put the Rockies always and their team totals were 7 all the time. And that's kind of what I feel like Boston is right now. Obviously, it's not the same sort of elements, but it's a great lineup and a good matchup and yada yada. But and then we have a slew of good pitchers. And I think that's probably the best. One of the best ways, ownership obviously matters, and you could speak to this better than me as far as tournament strategy, but I feel like that's one way. Like if you want to play Boston and everybody sees that Boston's got a 7 total and everybody's gonna be playing Boston, but of course, baseball goofy things happen in 28 teams. They're probably not going to be the highest scoring team. Now they have the best chance to do it, but they're still probably not because the team you might not even be thinking of is going to put up 14 runs tonight. But like, how are you handling that? My thought is like, maybe you can just get different with a couple pitchers because there's a bunch of pitchers I like, and just by how math works, some ownerships are going to have to get pushed down, and doesn't mean they're not good options. Strategy for this slate. What are we looking at?
Yeah, definitely, for sure. I'm definitely going to try to target the pitching and getting different there, especially on FanDuel on a one pitcher side is going to be pretty much easy because we already kind of know what the top pitchers are going to be. I'm interested in seeing what the actual ownership is going to be when when the lineup's actually locked, and how many people are actually going to play some of these guys that I'm looking at who I didn't think wouldn't think that we're going to be popular. But I understand people really want to get to Boston from the way I'm putting this together with on FanDuel, Jesus Lazard being 6,700. So he's a phenomenal play. Obviously going against that weak Chicago lineup. I like him today a lot. I don't see what reason you shouldn't play him. I'll probably be at the field with him, maybe a little bit over, depending on how my lineup shake out. And on DraftKings, definitely he's a what is he on DraftKings? Jesus Lazard
7'4" or something like that.
Yeah, so he's still 6'5" on DraftKings, which is super.
Oh,
so
yeah.
He's gonna we are now having on DraftKings that I'm gonna give a little thing away, like 15%. I think he's gonna be at least double, triple that. Like he should be the most popular pitcher on the slate. Be able to pair him with Zach Wheeler, which I think will be the optimal way to go for pitching. So for that, I would definitely try to get different. I don't personally like Blake Snell, but I'll have a little exposure to Blake Snell. I looked into some stats with Alizé, so I'm going to probably be on Alizé today as well. Charlie Morton, who's one of my favorite plays of the day, it's only coming in at 6%. If that's the case, and on FanDuel, and then on DraftKings, he's coming in at 18, so still low compared to everyone, a couple other pitchers. So I like getting to these guys a lot in good matchups. So hopefully it sticks that way and we'll be fine. But then yeah, like you said, with Boston going to be the highest on stack, I think you should just have a little bit of Boston almost every single one of your lineup, even if it's just a one-off. Just carry somebody here for sure.
All right, let's talk about that Miami game. It's two pitchers that, Luzardo, tons of promise. They traded him straight up for Starling Marte. Big time arm. Like when he's had injury issues as well too, and he just hasn't been great this year. But of course, that Cub team is pretty dreadful. And they're in a great ballpark to pitch in as well. And it's not that they're just bad; they're also bad and they strike out a ton too. Look at that lineup today: Happ at 36%, Chirinos at 38%, Wisdom at 41%. Ton of power, but he strikes out a lot. Obviously, Schwindel has been a contact hitter so far in a small sample, but 27% we're looking at collectively as far as striking out. And Luzardo he's been wild this year. His strikeouts haven't been spectacular. And then on the other side, you got Alzolay against a Miami team that, again, not very good, not a lot of power. They strike out a good bit. Alfaro, they have the two catchers in there again. I guess Alfaro's playing left field. I love when they do this. Yeah, I don't like, but for Luzardo's just sort of like I don't want my left fielder to be like a catcher that can't move. Like that's ideally, it might only affect one play, but still, I'm assuming he's out there in left field. I'm guessing, unless they throw him at first. No, Aguiar's got to be at first base. The point is that it's, and also Alzolay, there's more righties than lefties in this lineup, and he's been much better against righties. This season, 28.2% against righties, 5.6% as far as walks. So clean on both sides as far as walks and strikeouts. And as far as the lefties on the Miami side, we're looking at Sandy Leon, Magneuris Sierra, and Diaz. That's it. Otherwise, it's a bunch of righties. And it's not hard to pay up on better pitchers. So that's the other argument, which we'll get into. Which is why I think pitching is so fascinating today. But I guess we can start here. You kind of sort of hinted at it. What are your thoughts as of right now? And this may fluctuate, I suppose, as far as Alzolay, on one side, and for the Marlins, you got there Luzardo.
I mean, that combination also should be honestly one of the most popular, like if not the second most popular combo. They're both for 6'7". What you got 6'7" on DK and 7'6". So those are cheap prices. Like just over there, they're allowed you to get pretty much almost probably anything in your lineups. I haven't built yet. So I don't mind it. It's not a bad and it's justified. It's not like the stats don't support it. It's all there. These both two horrible teams that really can't hit well. I mean, they strike out a lot. The ones that can't hit well, but they strike out a lot. But I still think that one of these teams might end up maybe blowing the slate up. I can see, but if they do, it'd be like a mini stack, and if it's so, I think it'll be more so Miami than anything. Even though I like some of the young guys that Chicago has on their side with Wisdom, so and a few other people.
We have some of the umpire data coming in, and there's a lot of extremes for what it's worth here.
Extreme
Yeah. So yeah, let's see. Dane Dunning. These are the extreme hitters umpire. Dane Dunning there for Texas. McGill for the Mets. Luzardo. There's an extreme hitters umpire in that game we just talked about. Boston has an extreme hitters umpire for Watkins. Cole Irvin, extreme hitters umpire. Julio Urias, the Dodger game, extreme hitters umpire. Pavetta, we already mentioned. Extreme pitchers umpire. Blake Snell, he can definitely use it. We'll talk about him in a minute. He's got an extreme pitchers umpire, as well as Michael Pineda, Zach Plesac, Shane McClanahan, which I think is a really interesting. We talked about in pre-show, especially on DK, especially if his ownership's going to be suppressed, like what we're seeing right now. Also Madison Bumgarner and Tyler Alexander. So lots of extremes out there. Do you want to say hello to the chat? What up, chat? Hit the like button. It helps out the channel. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and fire off some questions. Devin's a little bit under the weather, but he's a gamer, so he's still producing for us, but he's not going to be joining the show, but he's going to be throwing the questions my way. Fire off some questions there in chat, and we'll have that at the last 10-15 minutes of the show. Whatever you guys want us to talk about. Again, it's a 14-game slate, so there's so much to talk about, only so much we can get into. But whatever you want us to elaborate, or why did you talk about this, or just general tournament strategy. We're going to talk tournaments in a second, obviously. Other pitcher, Zach Wheeler, is right now he is the odds-on favorite to win the Cy Young in the National League. He's coming off a CGSO last time out. They need him. Philadelphia's in a pennant race. They have to win the division. Essentially, the wild card's not a thing. They're battling with Atlanta and the Mets to some degree. It's not a great matchup, though. He is facing Cincinnati, a team with a ton of power. Not a great ballpark to pitch in, but this season, Wheeler 29.8% as far as Ks, 5% as far as walks. Against anybody, he's been pretty good, and the Ks aren't great as far as that matchup either. Barnhart, Suarez, Naquin in the 20s. Otherwise, it's a reasonably contact heavy. Actually, I shouldn't say it's too contact heavy. 22.6% collectively. How much are you prioritizing Wheeler? Because he certainly he could do CGSO back to back. That's definitely in the possibility that most guys can't get there.
Yeah, I like him today. We know obviously Cincinnati has a lot of power in their lineup, like we mentioned before, but over the past 30 days, he's just been limiting a lot of hard contact to like 35%, which is a little bit up from what he has been, but still not too bad compared to a lot of other pitchers on the slate. Only thing that really just concerns me a little bit about that is just more so the weather in the game. I know it's going to be more prone for home runs, so that more prone for home runs. So I don't think but he doesn't he's not really much of a fly ball pitcher as far as with the high percentage. So I still like the matchup, but it's going to be iffy. But I think he can get to him a lot. It's only two people with a really low strikeout rate. One with Moustakas with a medium in between strikeout rate, while everyone else has a high strikeout rate. So I like my chances by taking Wheeler, and he would probably be the first guy I spend up on tonight.
Yeah, I think the second guy that's worth considering, I'll talk Robbie Ray in a second. I do want to tell the people about weather going on there. Of course, Roth will be on Crunch Time later today. If you guys are premium members, y'all know how that works. Get yourself $10 off the first month. If you want just baseball, have at it. You get baseball. You want all the sports, and we're doing soccer, like soccer. God, I can't think of the name of over there in Europe. Why can't I think of the league over there? UEFA. EPL. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Geez, I've even been to one of their, well, not one of those league games, but I've been to a game over there in Europe. It's good times for sure. And I thoroughly enjoy it. Just don't have time for all that and the time difference and all. But yeah, that content is included in all the sports. We have, if you guys are grinding the football preseason, we have that content as well. Jamino and his team. I think there's actually preseason football tonight. I'm fairly certain, and all the regular stuff, hockey when hockey's around, NFL, college football. You get all of it with the exception of NASCAR, one price as well, too. $10 off that way. Go ahead and drop the link in chat for you guys. But I also wanted to mention there is potential weather issues tonight in Philly. It's just a straight yellow right now, but there is you can go and read it for yourself there. Again, I dropped it in chat, but something to keep your eye on. Washington as well as yellow, orange yellow in Pittsburgh. That seems a little bit dicey. But again, we're still an hour and a half out from the start of that game. And the Mets is yellow green and green yellow in Kansas City. Roth will clarify. I don't pretend to be a weatherman, just kind of sort of reading what's going on there. Keep your eye on that kind of stuff. But Robbie Ray versus Seattle team, he's faced the Red Sox, I think 3 of his last 4 starts. So like we can sort of forgive him if he's kind of scuffled of late. The Mariners are not the Red Sox. They're not as good. And they don't walk a lot. It's a very impatient team. There is some power. Haniger, it's got a little power in this team. Seager, but left on left. How much are you prioritizing Ray as a pivot away from Wheeler? And I think in theory, you wanted to pair him too. You can. I don't think you necessarily have to, but I think Ray is a really good, if you want to get away from Wheeler for whatever reason, Ray's a good alternative option.
I like Robbie Ray, but he's probably honestly my third probably pitcher I would get to as far as spending up wise. I kind of like Charlie Morton over him personally, but Ray's not a bad option too. Like you said, these guys, they have a strikeout percentage projected of about 25%. Being Jordan Crawford and Ty France, who, if they are in the lineup, their contact rate is pretty good, but it's still where they pitch. They're playing in Seattle too, so yeah. I think that's more of a pitcher's park if I'm correct. So I'm definitely like into Robbie Ray a little bit too, and him having a bounce back game for sure. But like I said, he's the third person I'll spend up on for sure. Just because I know regression might be coming a little bit, but it also could just be, like you said, because it was just Boston at the same time.
You mentioned Snell's name in passing, and he was just absolutely electric his last time out against the very team he's facing tonight, Arizona, but didn't mean he wasn't walking dudes. He walked 3 guys that game. Before that, if you look at his game log, he was on a game long watch, 3 walks, 4, 3, 4, 4, 3, 2, 3. He's, there's some guys just not fun to watch when you roster them. He is probably the number one guy. When I roster Snell, it's the worst. And he'll have like a 10 pitch at bat with a leadoff hitter and he'll walk. And then all of a sudden you're done for. Like it's so hard to watch him. But again, he also struck out 13 guys last game, and Arizona's not very good. And the price is pretty appealing actually. And he does have whatever you value the umpire, he does have a pitcher's umpire going for him tonight. What do you think of Snell?
I don't know. Like,
yeah,
that guy, it's a true toss-up. Like, it's 50-50. He's going to do well or he's not going to do good. Yeah, he's pitched well the last 2 games. And then that the game before that, he just was completely horrible. So, the way I'm going to play with this guy is I'm going to have some exposure to him, definitely for sure. I'll probably be, like, under the field a little bit, maybe. So, like, if he's coming right now, if he comes at, 14%, I'll have, 7% of him. I can't see myself getting to any more. Than half of what we projected his exposure to be. It's just I know that, and the bat likes him today a lot. It's the fourth best pitcher on the slate, and probably the second or third. No, the third probably points per dollar pitcher, at least in my player pool that I have right now. But it's small compared to obviously Luzardo and Alizé, but. That's on FanDuel, sorry, but he's an iffy option. I'm gonna have some, like I said, just some exposure, but not a lot. It's kind of hard to put him into words in a way.
Yeah, the projected lineup for Arizona, it's not great. The first 3 guys, have power. Ahmed, Marte, Kelly have shown some power. They don't strike out. And also collectively, it's a lineup that walks. They walk a good bit. Now there is some small samples with Ellis and Hager. But, we're looking at 12.5% as far as being, walks. And again, that's a pretty patient team. And Snell this season, the 29.8% K rate, that's awesome. That's great. Good for him. But 14.3% walks is just such a big number, man. I think that's the biggest. I want to say that's the biggest number on all the slate. I kind of put all the pitchers together, and that's got to be, yeah. And behind him is Keller, and Gray's a small sample. Then there's Luzardo as well, too. Another guy who's just not been.
They all have. Sorry. Just looking at the lineup, the projected one. They'll have low walk rates. Everyone, Arizona has a 21.2 average walk rate. I might play some Arizona today. I can see that if the lineup is really truly how it is, I think that they can.
They have a 21% walk rate. Am I not seeing that? 21%
projected as a team, all hitters. 21.
Oh, okay.
So I'm talking about strikeout rate. Sorry, not walk rate. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Walk rate, they have a 10.8. Sorry, but I like that. I would rather play more Arizona than play more Blake Snell. If that's to put in the best words I can.
I want to look at the Charlie Morton matchup here against Washington, and it's kind of the same deal at Washington. It's basically Soto and a bunch of dudes. Yeah, Bell's there also, but if you pull up the plate IQ, it's pretty clear there's only one guy in the green, and that's Soto as far as power. And even Bell this year, his power, you stretch it back to last season, his power has been subdued. And he was kind of a big prospect and had that great first half with Pittsburgh, but he's kind of been somewhat disappointing. Especially jumping to a nice ballpark there in Washington for hitting. If you can just navigate around Soto, like Robles is another failed prospect. Escobar is, nothing. Carter Kieboom, another failed prospect so far. Like in 123, is that right? His ISO is 80?
Yeah.
And 123, that's really bad. Barrera, the weak hitting catcher. It's a bad lineup for Washington. It's not a great ballpark to pitch in, and they are pretty strikeout happy as well, outside of Escobar and Soto. Yeah, and not a very patient team outside of Kieboom and Soto either. Charlie Morton, old man, 37, 38, whatever he is, but they need him to eat some innings out there, and they're in a pennant race. And this is the time of year especially with pitchers. I want pitchers on teams that like matter. They're incentivized to get some W's. And if they need an extra inning out of him, maybe he'll give it to him, because tonight's game's important. Every game's important at this point for Atlanta. But yeah, he's in the conversation for me as well. Mlb's cheap. I'll say that. He's 7.1K. But we talked pre-show. This is DK specific. He's on FanDuel. I think it's hard to get there. We'll talk about it. But Shane McClanahan, I think he's like 10K on FanDuel, which, a lot of Ks, but it's a little bit pricey. They have pushed him of late. At least he's been efficient. He's pitched, I think, at least 6 innings his last 3 games, which is good to see. This Minnesota lineup doesn't scare me at all, but 7.8K on DK, and I think we have him projected reasonably low. I want to be over that number. I think you do as well, right?
Yeah, definitely, for sure. I like that range too, because that range is where you're gonna definitely probably be able to get different off of Luzardo, with him being the most popular play and pitcher on the slate. So I like trying to get to get, like I said, over on Shane. It's not gonna be hard to get over on Tyler Mahle as well. But the weather is a concern, obviously, in that game. So I'll probably have just a tiny bit of exposure to him. Yeah, who else is in that range? And I know we didn't mention Gomberg, but Austin Gomberg is a sneaky play tonight. I know San Francisco, it has a really good hitting lineup, but he's a true definition of a tournament player at a 6.8K. That's too cheap for his strikeout upside and talent that he has.
Yeah, he's going to face a slew of righties. Like, that's just what San Fran does, and they have the guys kind of sort of lined up. You got to imagine that Ruff and Flores, the lefty specialist, will probably be in the lineup as well too. We don't have that lineup just yet, but we do. Boston finally dropped their lineup. Enrique Hernandez is leading off. Verdugo is back, batting second. Bogart's third. Devers fourth. Renfroe fifth. And there's Schwerber making his debut for Boston, batting sixth. Plawecki, the catcher. Vasquez is hurt. Duran, the rookie speedster, is batting eighth. And Dahlbeck, as he always is, basically batting ninth. Got some power, though. Yeah, man, that Boston lineup looks pretty good, man. That Schwarber, how did I miss this trade? I just had no clue he was traded to Boston. I feel like I whiffed in that one. I guess he hasn't played a game yet, but I didn't. I know he was crushing at Washington, especially right before he got hurt with his leg. But he's DHing tonight for what it's worth. So if there's any issues with his leg, I guess it's probably not a problem when he's just going up there to hack a few times a game. I assume you like that lineup. Does that look good to you?
Oh yeah, it looks it looks really good. I expect Boston to put up some runs. Like there's no reason why if they don't put up a lot of runs tonight, I don't know what's up with them. What's up?
Yeah, well, it's goofy baseball stuff. It's variance, I suppose. They're facing an inferior pitcher, obviously. Spencer Watkins, who's actually not been like completely dreadful this year for what it's worth, but like the xFIP and the Sierra and all that kind of stuff points to he's been a little bit lucky. We'll dig into that when we talk about stacks and hitters in a second. Is there anything else you want to mention as far as pitchers? I mentioned Mahle in passing. I think it is worth noting. Site dependent, right? I'm not sure if you're playing both FanDuel and DK tonight. Is there one you're kind of specializing in tonight, or you on both?
I'm on both tonight. Just trying to maximize the opportunity to win as much money as I can. So yeah, like I'm gonna have definitely certain pitchers on certain sites. Like I'm definitely gonna play. I kind of want to play McClanahan only on DK because the price is too low. But I'm thinking maybe I might include him in FanDuel just because I know no one play him at 9.5K. And it's also in between that price with Wheeler being at 11.2 on FanDuel and Luzardo being 6.5. So that whole mid tier is going to probably go unowned. So I think those are some best spots to get them. And Charlie Moore, like at 9K, I'm definitely going to probably be over the field on him and on for sure and on FanDuel.
I'm just curious how the ownership's going to work, because we currently have our consensus ranking and it's based upon cost, like, so it's factored in. We have Luzardo as our number one consensus pitcher on FanDuel, and then Alzolay, and then Wheeler, then Morton, then Ray, then Snell. It's I don't know. I feel like I want to be under on Luzardo if he's going to be that popular, and I believe in the talent, and I know the Cubs are terrible, but he's almost kind of just pitching against himself, it seems.
I know, I agree with that. And he did. I mean, last game was at Coors that he didn't pitch well, but he had a couple tough matchups too. Like he pitched pretty decent against the Mets, horrible against the Yankees in Colorado, and Kansas City too. So like it really just depends. He's hit or miss. And what's the weather in Chicago is what going to be?
Well, it's in Miami.
Oh, it's in Miami, so it's indoors. So you don't even have to worry about weather. It's a pitcher's park, so he should theoretically be fine. Like can Chicago surprise us? Yes, they can. Do I think that they do? No. But I think having like one or two Chicago lineups out of, like, if you're running 150 is a smart idea to have, just because you never know what can happen. It's baseball. You got to embrace the variance.
Yeah, I mean, I just also think there's a chance he goes like 3 1/3 and just throws like 80 pitches, and it just that's not going to get you there. And the other part of it is we talked about a lot of pitchers we'd like, so there is an opportunity cost at pitcher. You kind of have to get pitcher right tonight. So I think there's gonna be a good collection of pitchers that do pretty well, and probably a couple we haven't even talked about. Like Josiah Gray is pretty cheap, and he's a good young arm, and maybe he's good tonight. And I don't think he's the worst guy to cross out. On DK, Mlb is what, 7-1, which is a pretty good price for Tyler Mlb. I think he's a better pitcher than that. Like, we haven't talked about Disclafani's pitching. Urias is pitching tonight. We have the dude for St. Louis is coming back. I'm forgetting his name. I'm not staring at it, but thank you. Look at that, Devin, all over. Flaherty's coming back tonight. Now St. Louis is essentially out of the playoffs, and he went 4 innings and threw 75 pitches in one of his workouts, one of his minor league games. But I'm not playing him. I can't imagine they push him too hard. Why would they? What's the incentive? He's essentially their future. There's a lot of other guys, but can't talk about everybody. Is there anybody else? Dunning is also coming back too, and he's always gets his innings kind of suppressed, and even more reason not to push him. And Oakland's just a tough team just in general, so I'm not playing him, but he's a good arm. And Minor's fine, but I'm probably not getting there, and the Cardinals aren't very good either. Is there anything else that's worth a mention before we move on and talk about some stacks?
No, not really. I think we touched on all the pitchers. Mike Minor, like you said, 6.4K, just someone to use to get off of Luzardo. I have a little bit of exposure, I would say, but don't get over the field on DK with him.
What's the strategy tonight? What are you playing? What are you MMing? Do you have any lineups you're making just yet? Do you have any some reserves? You're still kind of figuring out, still deciding?
I'm still trying to figure it out. I definitely know I'm playing Boston. That's for sure. I'm trying to figure out, like, I know earlier today I really like the Dodgers, because I don't think they're going to be that own. But I want to still dig a little bit more deeper into it. But I definitely do like Tampa Bay a little bit too, going against Pineda. And I see that they're a little bit popular today, at least on DraftKings. So I'm just gonna see where it leads me, and also see what the bat also with the projections like a little bit too. One team that I know that is not getting a lot of ownership that I'm seeing right now that I think could really be a good team. Well, 2 teams actually, Toronto and Atlanta. Josiah Gray, I know he has a strikeout upside, good prospect that came over for Washington and has pitched pretty well since he's came over in a couple games. But Atlanta, that weather with the upside was tremendous there. I like them a lot. And Toronto's going to be I think Toronto's going to be a little bit lesser owned than and Flex is not a good pitcher at all. So I like getting to those bats too as well. And even a little bit of Baltimore too as well on the other side, just maybe have a little bit of mini game sack or get be a little bit contrarian.
11 total in that game. Of course, close to 7 runs are being delegated to Boston. But yeah, I don't mind Baltimore, and especially in DK where they just refused. Like DJ Stewart is still 2K, Hayes is still 2.4, Santander is still 2.3, even Mullins at 4.3 is too cheap. They're just completely disrespected on DK. Pavetta is like an okay pitcher. He's fine, but they could definitely get to him. And you mentioned Toronto. I think that's a really interesting one because it's the old West Coast thing. We don't have a lot of just yet. We're not sure about Bichette, and if he's in the lineup, like nobody's gonna have him, or if he's out, like whoever comes in there, nobody's gonna have that guy. I think it was like Gurriel sort of popped in the other night, and it happened like at like 8-9 o'clock or something. And most people are just kind of eating dinner or hanging out, Netflixing, whatever they're doing. They're not looking at 10 in their lineups. And they're like, oh, this guy was swapped in, and that's a way to take advantage of ownership stuff. Just sort of see when that Toronto lineup comes out, and then, it's just the West Coast bias. Like people want their instant gratification. They want to watch their baseball. They want to watch their hitters score points now. They don't want to send in a lineup and then, I'm just going to hang out for 3 hours and then we'll start watching the game. And like you said, flexing certainly worth picking on. It's not, it's not Dunedin in Florida. It's not Buffalo. It's not even the Sky Dome there, or whatever they call it there in Toronto. But I don't care. Like Springer, Semien, Gurriel, Guerrero, all these guys can bang it out, whatever ballpark. And flexing is, he's the guy he's not going to blow it past you. You're going to hit the ball against him for sure. So I like Toronto in tournaments as well. I'm kind of looking at our stacks ranked today. And to no surprise, Boston is number one, our consensus stack. And, that's not factored in as far as ownership and all that. It's just like, yeah, Boston's they're just the top stack and that's that. Do with that what you want. Do you think you're going to be over or under the field as far as Boston? Is there a way to be different, maybe 3-man or 4-man, or maybe shuffle it up and not just go 1 through 5? Like, what's your strategy? How are you handling Boston stacks tonight?
I get weird with my stack, so I don't mind playing. Like people seem to like be afraid of playing like the back half of lineups. I don't care. I'm gonna play the back half a lot of the lineup. I'm probably gonna have a lot of the back half of the lineup and mixing probably 2 or 3 if I'm running 5-man stacks on DK of that back half. So like guys like Hunter Renfro coming in right now and coming in at least on FanDuel at 6%. Let me look on DK. DK, we have Hunter Renfro at
16's too low for me.
Yeah,
I think that's too low.
On DK, yes. And even on me on FanDuel, on DK, he's at 5%. So that's just too low for someone with that upside. So I like getting to spots like that. And even Schwerber, but the ownership might change within the next hour we have now that we know the lineup. Schwerber coming in at 6% ownership. If he's just still be that low. And coming off injury, I don't mind taking that chance and taking all that. So I'm gonna just mix it all in. Probably, like I said, pay more of the back half of the lineup, which I love getting to anyway in stacks, and make sure it's different for sure.
So for what it's worth, the samples are kind of small. Watkins has been reverse splitsy in the majors, just getting crushed by righties. A 215 ISO, only striking out 12% of righties, walking 8%, 43% as far as a fly ball rate, getting hit hard 48% of the time. The monster obviously is lurking there too. Like I love Renfro. I think he's an awesome play. Kiki as well. Bogarts, all of them. And the other part is like the back half of that Boston lineup. You talk about people are just afraid of that. Well, Schwerber, I guess, is back half. And if you have power, if you have upside, like Dahlbeck's another guy, you can be kind of frustrating, but he does have the power. He does have the ability. When you see that guy homer, like why he was a prospect for that team. He's definitely got a good bit of power in that bat. So 1 through 9, and Plawecki is just sort of your catcher because you got catcher for a stack, and he's not a great hitter. Vasquez is better, obviously, but he's hurt. But I don't really know why Plawecki bet 7th, to be honest. But that's I think Duran and Dahlbeck are better, but nonetheless. As far as Tampa, San Diego, Milwaukee, those other guys are kind of hitting the board for us. You mentioned Atlanta. Atlanta was ranked as well. Who is the next team? You mentioned Toronto. Is there you have any sort of tiers? Or it's just like, I'm going to grab a certain percentage shares of this and just kind of get different pieces of all of them. Hopefully you get the right combination.
Well, I'm trying to break down how many teams I want to make sure I have, but I would say if I had to rank them, it's like or tier wise, let's go DK because I know everyone plays DK mainly. Boston's going to be number 1 for me. I kind of didn't like getting to Tampa. Tampa Bay is my second most exposed team. Toronto is my 3rd. Atlanta's my 4th. And like I said, Dodgers has probably like my 5th most exposed team, just because it's the Dodgers. I like, and I know McGill. He's a pretty good pitcher. Nice young pitcher that they got on the Mets, but I still think they can get to him. And whenever they're low owned, I feel like you have to just be at least a little bit over the field on them, and it's not going to take that much to get that.
All right. Sorry, pardon me. Do want to around the chat to hit the like button, subscribe, turn on notifications, ask some questions, whatever you guys want to talk about. We're here for the next 60 minutes or so. We're happy to answer them. Strategy questions. If you want to ask this guy or that guy, or Who do you like as far as a cash game pitcher? We're happy to do that as well. Whatever's on your mind. Can't really cover everything, so we want to talk about what you guys want us to hear us talk about.
Oh,
Also want to mention. Oh, go ahead, Andre.
oh, sorry, I was to say. Also, I just want to say Arizona's a GPP. Play a couple stacks of them too.
Just because you're betting against potentially Snell blowing up, which is he's one to do.
Yes.
Yeah, and we saw it last night with Darvish. Darvish was cruising, and I think he gave like 5 runs or so in the 3rd inning. Got the hook, didn't get out of there. But yeah, goofy things happen in baseball all the time. Obviously, did want to mention Devin's going to go ahead and throw this up on the screen for the people. Prize Picks, talk about them all the time. Sign up for Prize Picks today. Use the promo code Grinders GRINDERS with your first deposit for up to 100% deposit bonus, up to $100. We also gave we selected some winners for the people. I only have one. I saw you had a whole bunch, so tell the people who you like tonight on Prize Picks.
In that Boston game, I got a couple obviously picks. I got Trey Mancini going over. I just like the way it's going against Nick Pivetta, who doesn't. I'm not afraid of it. I like the hitting weather there. So I got the over of 7.5 fantasy points, 9.5 over for JD Martinez as well. Going against Watkins is just an easy matchup. I love it. Nelson Cruz in kind of in a revenge spot. I like that. So go yard one time against his whole team in Minnesota. And then Juan Soto as a one-off. Charlie Morton, I expect him to have a lot of strikeouts today, but I like for Juan Soto to at least, hit at least one home run and go over 6.5 in that matchup.
Yeah, you're betting over as an unders, and I saw Trey Turner's got a half a run. Is over under? I can't promise you that he's going to be sliding in all smooth in the home plate. I'm not sure if you saw that gift. That was incredible.
That was the smoothest sliding I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, it was. You couldn't watch it just once. You had to keep watching. I watched like 4 times. Like that is just, yeah, it's impressive. All right. Yeah, so I have him over a half a run. That's not too hard, right? He's on the road in a good ballpark. He's got five chances there to presumably assuming things go fairly well there. He's got 5 chances to get himself a run. I think it was at 1.5 as far as 1.5 as far as his runs, hits and walks. I would bet over on that one too. It didn't really. And to be clear, I'm currently not on Prize Picks. I don't think it's available in Florida. I have to confirm or deny that. Last I checked. But just full disclosure, I'm not wagering in this, but if I had the opportunity, that's what I like. All right. Again, chat, fire off some questions. Ask Andre how to win tournaments. I'm telling this dude wins tournaments. He's in the biggest route of his life, and he hasn't won a tournament in 3 weeks. Ask good tournament questions. Andre is happy to answer them. Let's go ahead and pull up and see what the chat has. Got a bunch of questions here from Devin. If I can just click correctly. All right, let's play the stack game. I'll go first. You go second. We're going to rank our stacks. 1, we absolutely hate it. 5, we absolutely love it. Somewhere in the middle, you guys can figure that out. Number 1, the people are asking about, and again, we talked about some of these already, but some people are coming in and out, obviously. Andre, what do you have as far as Atlanta?
I got a 4.
Atlanta's a 4. I will say on DK, Freeman is probably like the cash game first baseman, like 4.8K. Just seems like the wrong price for Freddie Freeman. I know Gray is a good young prospect, and he basically was the key piece in that Trey Turner deal and Max Scherzer deal too. Yeah, all right. So Atlanta, I'll say a 3.5, and I don't know why I said, yeah, you go first. I'll counter. Baltimore.
I think I'll say 3.5.
Yeah, and again, some of it's going to kind of prices are pushing me. Like in DK, if you need to save some salary, if you want to go double barrel as far as arms, Baltimore's right there. They're super, super cheap. The only guy that's expensive, I think, is Mullins, maybe Mancini. But yeah, I like that Baltimore side a good bit, especially the salary savers. I'll say a 3. Tampa, we kind of alluded to them a couple of times. Nice ballpark there, ballpark upgrade in Minnesota, better than their home ballpark, obviously. And they have plenty of power there. No Austin Meadows in the lineup for some reason. Last I checked, unless something changed or I made that up. But Rosarena, Cruz, Lowe leading off, like Lau leading off. Your thoughts as far as Tampa?
I would say 4.5.
Woo, that's a big number. Yeah, I got him at a 4. I like Tampa a good bit. Pineda's a guy that he'll throw strikes and he'll give up fly balls. And he's kind of a neutral to reverse splitsy historically, I think. I don't really care so much about lefty righty. Doesn't really bother me. Up next is Cleveland. It's Jose Ramirez and it's Frambo Reyes, and then kind of a bunch of dudes. Rosario's fine. I guess Rosario's fine. And Miles Straw leading off does not excite me. He is cheap, though. Your thoughts as far as Cleveland?
I mean, see, I gotta dig into Cleveland because they might jump into my top 5 because they're going against Alexander. It's a good matchup. It is a good matchup for them. I know that they're not the best, but they do have one of the best hitting matchups. And I think on the board, if I'm correct, the weather is good there for hitting. So I like Cleveland a good amount. I would say probably about a 4.
Let me scroll really quickly and see if Weather Edge is kind of sort of popping for any team like you mentioned. Let's check out and see what Detroit is saying. Do we have a big enough? We got a fire emoji for Boston. That kind of bakes into like the 7 total. A fire emoji for the game for the Mets as far as weather. Detroit in a 92 game sample in Detroit, similar weather, 81 degrees, winds blowing out left center, 8 miles per hour. Pretty decent size sample, 17.3% bump as far as homers, 11% bump as far as runs, 11% bump as far as ERA. So yeah, sure. Good hitting environment. Anything else? Oh, fire emoji in Washington as well.
Yep.
Yeah. And one more, Philadelphia. It's a really small sample, and I'm not trying to scare anybody off Wheeler, but 38 games, we've seen an increase of 39% homers. I don't know if it's a big enough sample to frighten me, but it is 91 degrees and the weather is blowing out. So the wind is blowing out. So yeah, you got to hit it though, which is not always that easy against Zach Wheeler. More teams that are on the list. Toronto's
a 4.
Yeah, I like Toronto as well. I wonder, you think, is Bichette going to play tonight? We keep seeing like maybe not.
So. Yeah, I keep saying he's going to play, but then he just doesn't pop up in the lineup. I hope so, because he's not going to be owned, and I would love to jump all over him and get a lot of ownership on him.
Nobody's going to play Bichette, I don't think. And well, it also depends upon, like you said, when that lineup comes out. But we're talking 4 hours away. I'm assuming it's not out just yet. Just give the old refresh. Let's see, anything interesting come out. The Padres lineup has come out. Pham, Frazier, Machado, Cronenworth, Nola, Hosmer, Myers, Grisham. Astros, Altuve, Brantley, Correa, Yordan Alvarez, Diaz, Tucker. Why would Diaz hit in front of Tucker? That's a lefty-righty thing. McCormick, Wilson. Who's Wilson? Wilson Machado. There's a guy last name Wilson on Houston. I should know who that is, probably. I don't think I do. All right, San Diego. You heard their lineup. How do you like San Diego tonight?
I like San Diego. They're going to be I don't think they're going to be that popular either, if I'm correct. They're a sneaky team on the slate. And against Bumgarner, who really has to pitch that well. He's been pitching with decently, I believe. So, and is he coming back from injuries too, if I'm correct, or no?
Bumgarner? I don't believe so.
I don't think so. I think he's just been not that great.
He's just old and crotchety.
Yeah, he had like 3 straight good games. Yeah, and he did pitch well and pretty decent against the team last time too. So I mean, without Tatis, and Tatis is still not back, so anything's possible. But I'm gonna play San Diego and be on that side of the game.
Yeah, they were talking about Tatis coming back last night, and also worth noting, I like the fact they're locked in for those 9 innings because Arizona's got one of the roughest bullpens in all of baseball, and who knows what you're going to get. It's kind of a mixed bag, but assuming, especially if they're ahead, you're going to get one of the weaker arms there on Arizona. That bullpen's been rough for sure. All right, Houston, who is going to be mostly neglected on the slate, but they obviously have some legit players.
They do. I feel like I should, I'm going to have a little bit of Houston, but not a lot. So I would say if I had to rank them, probably like a 3.
Jacob Wilson, I think, is the person's name playing for Houston tonight. And he's got 100 batting average, so I assume he's got 10 at-bats in the season. He's wearing an A's hat, according to FanDuel. So, I guess he's a recently acquired player, but that's who I think is playing baseball tonight for the Houston Astros. I don't know who he is, so I'm curious to fire up like the fan graphs and see what he's done in the minor leagues. All right, let's see. Who else do we have? Oh, Milwaukee, who's just absolutely been pummeling of late. No matter who they put in the lineup, they absolutely annihilated the Cubbies. What do you think of the Brewers tonight?
Oh yeah, they're another sneaky team. If they're either going to strike, I know that's a definitely GPP team. They're either going to strike out a lot, or they're going to hit a lot. So I like having some Milwaukee. I would say give me about a 3.5.
Let's see. You talk about Arizona. You want to just reiterate your thought as far as Arizona? And it was just sort of like, it was more or less just like a bet against Snell, a bet on Snell potentially imploding.
Yes, that's what it is more so than anything. if I had to rank him, I'm probably going to give like a 2 or 2.5. But I still just like taking my chances and having a few against Snell for sure. I can't trust Snell. He's gonna have to show it to me a few more times, a few more outings, but I have a little bit of both sides of that game for sure.
All right. Floors Mark, who should I stack using Boston plus Atlanta or Tampa? So I think he's saying he's going to use Boston. Should he pair them with Atlanta or Tampa Bay?
What site? That
I
matters.
don't know. That's all I got for you, man.
Yeah, that kind of, if it's DK, then I'm gonna say probably Atlanta. I can see Atlanta being the lower owned compared to Tampa.
All right. They're asking about a cash discussion for pitchers and hitters. Let's just put that on layaway for a second. I'll get to that. Don't worry about it. FanDuel, GPP, any interest in Ray?
I like Robbie Ray getting into him in GPPs for sure. Even though his price is 10-7. He's going to be low owned, and he has pitched well against his team. And like I said, he faced Boston, I think, the last 3 matchups or 3 or 4. So yeah, I like him for sure.
All right, this is a better question for you for sure. A lot of these questions are better questions for you, but I'm probably not going to be this ambitious. K-Town's Finest wants to know DK tournament. Now, tournament GPP, I'm assuming this is for a large field. I hope it's for a large field. Would you consider pairing Mlb and Gomberg? Is that combo worth a shot? They're both low owned and they both can get there. But again, there's an opportunity cost. I think you need your pitchers to do well tonight.
I mean, as long as you're playing, you better have a 5-man Boston stack if you can. But I don't recommend it for GPPs. That's a little bit too ambitious. I feel they both have strikeout upside. I like Gomberg more than Mlb just from the matchups perspective.
I'm now afraid of that San Francisco lineup, man. I don't want to pick on them. It's a bunch of righties. They're all pretty good. I haven't seen it just yet, but I assume that's what's going to be the standard collection. But I hear you. Michael, strategy question: a large field tournament. This is a large field tournament. If you're doing a 4 or 5 man Boston stack, what advice would you give to be different? Great question.
I think I mentioned it before. Just play like the bottom half, or play like 1 or 2 guys from the top half of the lineup, and then mix it in with just a lot of people from the bottom half. Everyone often plays the top half of the lineup, so that bottom half, which no one really often plays, play a lot of it if you can.
Kind of mentioned him in passing, but again, there's so many pitchers. Julio Urias, I think he's a fine pitcher, but I'm probably not getting there.
Yeah, I'm not getting there either. I like him. I'm going to get to probably a little bit more DraftKings. Definitely not on FanDuel though.
GPP Flaherty for pitchers. I have no interest in Flaherty. Do you have any interest in Flaherty?
No, not at all.
Top 3 starting pitchers today, not factoring in price. If price doesn't matter, it's got to be Wheeler, Ray, and then somebody, right?
I probably would say if I had to do my top 3, it would be Charlie Morton. No specific order, but Charlie Morton, Ray, and probably Wheeler, then McClanahan after that.
All right. More questions here filing in. Again, if you guys are premium members, in Crunch Time, you get your questions answers as well too. I'm not sure Devin's in my ear. Tell me, who's on Crunch Time today, Devin? Oh, you get 2 of the best. Derek Carty, you guys know him from the Bat and the Blitz, and Cheese is good. Dave Potts, 2-time millionaire winner, writes the musings 5 times a week. They're going to answer your questions all at the lock if you don't get your questions knocked out. Is Mlb a trap? I mean, I think that's more of a DK question. I don't think it's something it's not something you have to do because there's so many other options. That's sort of my take.
Yeah, it's not something you have to do. And the weather there is good for hitting more so than anything. So you don't have to get there. And obviously both teams are good and it's a tougher matchup. So if you don't want to play him, just make sure you get different with your bats.
Atlanta and Washington currently under delay. Roth will give some advice as far as that. So I'll talk to you guys all the way up the lock as far as what's going down there weather-wise. Cash games, just play Red Sox. Like you're playing 4 Red Sox in cash on FanDuel. I think you're going to play 5 on DK. I think I've not quite worked it out. The pitchers are kind of tricky. Like if you math is going to tell you to play Luzardo or Alzolay, on FanDuel, and it's a little dicey. And again, I'm not playing cash over there. I'm just playing a little bit of cash on DK. I'm just only playing tournaments on FanDuel. On DK, they're going to tell you again. Matt's going to tell you to play Alzolay or Luzardo there as well. I feel more comfortable as a general rule spending up on pitchers and getting guys like Ray and Wheeler, at least one of those 2, almost definitely leading with Wheeler. But if you pair Wheeler with either Luzardo or Alzolay, I think that's fine. There's no definitive, these are the pitchers you have to play, but that's probably where you're at, and 5 guys from Boston, like as far as your bats. A couple more questions so we step aside and get out of here. Brett Anderson versus a weak Pittsburgh lineup. I am not on Brett Anderson.
I'm not on Brett Anderson at all. I might actually play a couple, maybe like I have a little bit of Pittsburgh as a mini sack in my GPPs.
Cole Irvin, any interest? And it's the same deal, like on a different slate maybe, but tonight, no.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with that. I love hitting on Texas, but tonight I can't do it.
Oh, is tonight's the night that Miguel Cabrera hits his 500th homer? I didn't realize I knew he was close. I didn't realize he's right there. He's knocking on the door.
499. He does it against who? Plesac? Yeah, he can do it tonight.
Yeah, love Miguel. I saw him hit a homer versus Roger Clemens in the World Series. That was pretty awesome. When Roger Clemens, he tried to dust him off. There's no time to get in the regaling in this conversation, but it was one of the coolest things I've seen live in person as far as a baseball event or any sporting event. Home run call. Speaking of homers, give me some guys that are going to homer. Give me like 3 dudes.
Well, I'm not going to say Miguel Cabrera because that's a special one. But if I like Juan Soto to go yard today. I like Freddie Freeman as well.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna give one more. Give me.
I'm trying to think of a cheapie. Like Nelson Cruz I like, but he's not cheap. I'm trying to think of a cheap guy that's going to homer.
Yeah, I am too. It's like I gave two top guys. Oh, yeah. First 900. So yeah, you can use that too. But you know what? I'm gonna say this guy too on Cleveland because I like Cleveland a little bit now that I've been digging into it. I'm gonna go Miles Straw, hit a home run and lead off home run.
Miles. I thought they're gonna go Fran Mill. That Miles Straw is ambitious. I like that one. All right, we gotta end strong with that. We gotta step aside and make way for crunch time. I apologize if I not get your question. I saw some questions there. No, I did not hate The Natural. I don't know if you saw my movie list. I got ratioed yesterday on Twitter. I put out some movies out there. People are very upset with my favorite baseball movie list. Do you have a favorite baseball movie off the top of your head?
I haven't really seen many baseball movies, honestly. I would say, what was that? Wasn't there one where he like pointed like back and then hit the walk-off home run? That was a pretty good one.
Was that might have been The Natural? I'm not sure. That's like an older.
I'm not sure. It was an old one. I know that was a pretty good one too. I've seen a couple like Mr. 3000 was good. I've seen the I don't know if you can consider that the one with the Oakland when they
Moneyball. Yeah,
that was a pretty interesting one too as well. So I'm more of like a football basketball guy. So like I definitely have seen a lot of more movies with that one for sure.
I was talking with someone the other day about it. I was like, I don't. What was the last like great basketball movie to come out? We need one. We haven't.
There was one with the Way Back with Ben Affleck. That was actually pretty interesting.
Was it? I didn't see it.
People might not like it because it was a drama, but like it was pretty interesting with him. Showing his past and him and how he used to be a state champion in basketball and everything like that. I
want to talk more movies. We got to go. Devin is getting very upset in the bullpen. We do appreciate you guys watching. Thanks for asking the questions. It makes the conversation much better. I do appreciate that. Hit the like button on your way out. Subscribe, turn on notifications. Use that Prize Picks promo. Use that Rotogrinders promo. Get access for $10 off your first month. That was Andre. He's winning a tournament tonight. That was Devin. He's a trooper. Feel better, Devin. Stay tuned for Crunch Time. You guys are premium members. That was baseball. I was Dean. We're out of here. Oh!